Hey there, students. This video will talk about how to use some of our databases, specifically the EBSCO database, to look up some information for your project-based research. Before we dive into that, though, I do want to show you something that is called the Frayer model. And I want to show this to you before we start searching for terms in our databases, because before you start doing searches in the databases on your topic, you do need to have some idea of what you're looking up, so that if one search for certain terms doesn't work, you have a list of terms already that you can also use. So we recommend using this worksheet for this thing called the Frayer model. And what you do is in the middle, you type in your topic. So let's say that I am a culinary student and I'm going to be looking at the cuisines of Oaxaca and Sonora, Mexico. You can just type that into the middle there and you've got your topic ready to go. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go into each of these boxes and write down some terms that can help us as we're doing our searches. So the first thing to do is you want to define what it is that you're looking for. So for my particular example, I'm just looking for the typical foods that are prepared in the by the people of Oaxaca and Sonora, Mexico. So what that tells me is I'm looking at the foods. So over here in this area where we're looking at antonyms or non-examples, I am not looking for drinks. So I'm just going to type in here drinks. I do not want to look at drinks. I just want to look at the foods of that area. And then we're going to come down here and think about some synonyms or some search terms that we can look up. So when we start looking up search terms in our databases, we have to have a list that's like ready to go, what we want to look up. I just keep doing this. Okay, so anyway, so what are some words that I want to look up? So for sure I want to look up cuisines. But what if I don't find anything with cuisines? Then I can look up other words. What are some other words that are synonyms or similar to cuisines? Well, foods, right? The foods of that region. How about the meals that people cook, or the dishes that people make? And in some areas, you might see the food referred to as the gastronomy of a certain area. So maybe you can come up with other synonyms, but these are some examples of words that I could use instead of cuisine in case I can't find that word when I'm looking for it in the databases. So then I'm going to come up here to related terms, because maybe there are some words that are similar to foods and cuisines, but that aren't exactly synonyms, but they're somewhat related or similar to. So for example, cooking, what foods do people cook? Maybe menus, that doesn't exactly mean cuisine or the foods, but menu might list some of those foods. The diet of people in a specific area, that'll give you an idea of the foods that people eat. Or maybe even like meats and vegetables that people eat in a certain region. So you see, related terms aren't exactly synonyms, but they're kind of related. They're somewhat similar terms that you can use in your searches. So once you've done this exercise, then you're ready to go and search in our databases. And the one I'm going to show you is EBSCOhost. So you can get to our databases by either typing in macandvia.com up here at the top, or you can go to our library webpage. And in our Bitmoji library, there's a link right here to macandvia. So you can click on that or go to macandvia.com. So the first time you log into macandvia, it'll ask you for your high school. Type in Cedar Ridge High School and make sure that it's the Round Rock, Texas location. Then for your user ID, you're going to type in your 6-digit ID number without the S. Same for your password, your 6-digit ID number without the S. So both user ID and password are your student ID number without the S. Then you log in. Over on the left here, there's a link to databases. macandvia is this online portal that gives you access to a lot of our online resources. So you have access to ebooks, you have access to audiobooks where you can listen to somebody reading a story, or you have access to databases where you can find information for your research papers. So the one I'm going to show you right now is called EBSCO. So you scroll down the list here. These are all in alphabetical order. And down at the bottom, you can load more. So we're going to click on Open Now to get into EBSCO. Now, EBSCO is actually the name of a company. It's not the actual name of the database. Within EBSCO, there are all these different databases. There's this natural and alternative treatments one. There's one for educators. There's one for, there's another one for educators. There's this Learning Express library where you can look at some test booklets if you're taking some tests like the SAT, ACT, PSAT, whatever, there are practice tests on there. So anyway, the two major databases that we use to do research here at Cedar Ridge are mostly this secondary schools one and this EBSCOhost web. I recommend that you go to this one first, the Explora Secondary Schools. Click on that. And all of these are different because they'll have like different magazines and newspapers that they're pulling their articles from. So here in the search box up at the top, you can type what you're looking for. So all you need to do here is type in like the main words that you're searching for. So for example, if I'm looking up, I'm comparing the cuisines of Oaxaca and Sonora, Mexico, then I'm just going to type in cuisine and Oaxaca. You don't need to type in a sentence. You don't need and, or, of, the. Just type in the main words and then hit enter. And there are a few articles that came up here. Knee deep in chilies. Oaxaca, a gourmet paradise. Say ole to Mexico's many moles. That's not moles, it's moles. So, and then look at the dates here. This one's 2004. This one's 2001. And this one's from 1999. So with some of your topics, the date isn't going to matter. And with some of your topics, it will. Because if you're wanting current information on the construction labor shortage in Austin, Texas, you really need more current information. For something like this, you probably don't need the latest information, so this is probably just fine. So let me just click on the first one here. You just click on the title and it takes you right to the article. Notice this one's a PDF file, so it's basically a picture of what the original article looked like in this magazine. So you can learn some information there. You can learn some information there about the foods of Oaxaca, the chilies of Oaxaca. So if this is an article that you like, there are some options over here on the right side where you can save it to your Google Drive just log in. I don't know what happened. Okay, I'm already logged in. If you're not logged into your Google Drive, it'll ask you to log into your Google Drive, and then it'll save it there. There's also this right here where you can print your article out. There's a little envelope here that shows where you can mail it to yourself or email it to yourself. So you would just type in your email address there, and then you know that it's an article on chilies of Oaxaca, however, whatever you want to put in the subject line, and then hit send, and it'll email that to yourself. And then the other one I want to show you, no, this isn't the one. I think those are the main ones. There's a permalink if you want it. But really, you have the main stuff here. You can save it to your Google Drive. You can email it to yourself. You can also, never mind. Here it is. You can add it to a folder. So like you can actually create an account here in EBSCO, and you can save it in your folder there, and it'll save some of these articles in here. But really, honestly, the best things to do are to save it in your Google Drive or email it to yourself. You can also download it. The other thing that you should do really is keep track of the citation. So one of these is for how to cite your article, because one of the things that your teachers and that people will be looking for at the end when you do your presentation is that you've cited your sources correctly. So if you click on that citation button, this will take you to a whole bunch of different citation formats. So just double check with your teacher and see, if there's a citation format that they want you to use. Otherwise, most of yours will probably use the APA style of citation. Many of you are probably used to using MLA. MLA is good for English class, but not necessarily for other fields. So the other real common ones are the Chicago Turabian or the APA. So I just recommend that a lot of you use the APA style. All you have to do here is copy the citation, hit Control-C to copy, and then open up a document and just start keeping track of all of your citations. Okay, citations for project-based research, and then just paste it in here. And that way you can start keeping track of all these citations so that you don't get in trouble later for not citing your sources. So let me go back to the result list. If you didn't pull up enough articles, here's where you can go back to, remember that model we had where we typed in all these different synonyms for our words. So if the cuisines of Oaxaca didn't pull up enough search articles, you can type in foods. So let's go back and try that one. So instead of cuisine, I'm going to put in foods and Oaxaca, and let's see, this one pulled up 17 articles. Look at this. So that pulled up more. The last search only turned up 3. So here are more articles. The foods of Oaxaca, recipes and stories from Mexico's culinary capital. Oh, this is actually a book review. So that's not going to help us. What else? Let's look at this one. Oh, that's also going to be a review because that's from Library Journal. It must have been a book written about the foods of Oaxaca. So anyway, here's one, Oaxaca Gourmet Paradise. So notice this just has all of the same options, okay? Again, there's like the original article that was in the magazine that this came from. And again, you've got your options over here. Oh, and I had noticed, look, here's the download button. So you can not only save it in your Google Drive, email it to yourself, but you can also just download it onto your computer. So that is pretty much how to use this. You can also go to the advanced search up here, and you can do the same thing that we were just doing, typing in terms here, and you can select different fields. Like if you want it to look for the subject, if that's the subject, or if you have a particular author that you want to look up. But usually just doing like the keyword search that we did works just fine. There are also other ways to limit down here. For example, you can limit it by the year. If you just want to pull up articles from 2000 all the way to now, 2020, maybe you don't want anything from the 1900s. You can pull up articles from just newspapers, periodicals. Periodical is basically like a magazine. You can pull up articles from different languages. And then there's so many ways to filter your search here. It's almost overwhelming. So then you can just hit search and see what it pulled up. This really just kicked out one other article than what we had. So those are ways to limit your searches. You can also, over here on the left side, you can narrow your publication date down. Like maybe you just want to do the last 10 years of articles. That brought it down to 10. You can also narrow it here by the types of articles that you see here. Academic journals are those articles that are written by researchers and they're publishing their findings. Reviews are like book reviews about a book. And those are just a few of the ways to limit it. So we're here to help you though. The librarians are here to help. And if you ever are not finding enough articles, enough research for your topic, you can email us or you can call us. If you click on our names here, it'll take you to where you can email us directly, or we have our phone numbers listed here. You're always welcome to call us and we can walk you through things too. We've also had students make one-on-one appointments with us so that we can help them with their searches. Please reach out to us. We are more than willing to help you. We want you to find enough research for your topic. So please reach out to us if you're having trouble.